February 21st, 2025, Dubai, Friday. One of the world's largest crypto exchanges is doing something it had done 1,000 times. Moving money from the vault, the deep freeze cold wallet, to the till. A few clicks, a routine transfer, home by dinner. Every check on the screen says this transaction is fine. The address is right. The interface is real. The URL is genuine. The people who built this system have spent years making sure a moment exactly like this one could never go wrong. And on this Friday, they sign. What they actually need to prove, invisible to every eye in the room, is a quiet swap of the vault's core logic. The keys don't leave the lock. The lock becomes the thief. 41 minutes later, the vault opens from the inside. 401,347 Ethereum. $1.5 billion. Gone in under 2 minutes. It is the largest theft in the history of money, bigger than every bank heist you've ever heard of, combined with several you haven't. Bybit's CEO, Ben Zhou, posts a confession while the money is still moving. All the signers saw the Musk UI, his typo, preserved forever on chain. The withdrawals, he insists, are completely normal. They were. That's not the scary part. The scary part is who did it. Because 5 days later, the FBI didn't name a crime syndicate. It didn't name a teenager in a bedroom. It named a country. North Korea. A bankrupt hermit state on the far side of the world's most sealed border had just cleaned out a vault in Dubai without firing a shot. And roughly 90% of the money was never seen again. This is the story of how they did it, the heist of nations. And it begins 2 days earlier with a poisoned line of JavaScript. Rewind 48 hours. The attack doesn't start at Bybit. It starts at Safe, the company that builds the wallet interface Bybit trusts with billions. Somewhere, a developer's laptop is already compromised. Nobody knows whose, nobody knows exactly when. What matters is what the intruder does next. They don't steal keys, they don't brute force anything. They wait for a routine software update and hide malicious code inside it. Supply chain compromise, the digital equivalent of swapping the guard's own glasses. But here's the detail that makes professionals shudder. The code is armed for exactly one target on Earth. It checks, is this Bybit's cold wallet? No, it does nothing. Anywhere else in the world, sleep. February 19th, 15:29 and 25 seconds UTC, the trap deploys. For 2 days it waits, dormant, inside the software that $1 billion treasury is about to trust. February 21st, the signing ceremony begins. On the screen, a transfer. Address correct, amount correct, everything correct. In the data underneath, a contract upgrade that hands total control to the attacker. Every signer approves what they see. None of them can see what they're signing. This is not a hack the way you've been taught the word. No masks, no tunnels, no getaway car. Just a lie told to careful people through the one screen they trusted. The first withdrawal hits at 7:07 a.m. UTC. Then the flood, a relay of transfers, bleeding the vault in stages. By the time anyone assembles a war room, the balance is a rounding error of its former self. $1.5 billion has begun a journey through thousands of fresh wallets. Within hours, Joe goes public, fingerprint on the panic button. Help us track it. Rumor does what rumor does. Bybit is insolvent, the crowd screams. It's the next FTX. The queue for the exit stretches past 350,000 withdrawal requests, the most in the exchange's history. And here's the part that shouldn't matter to the story but does. Bybit pays $4 billion out the door in a weekend. Customer withdrawals honored. No, you said barn. Nobody frozen. Nobody bailed in. 72 hours later, the panic breaks. The house is broke, but it's standing. The money is gone, but the customers are whole. Both things are true. Now all that's left is the question that will consume the next 18 months. Where do you hide $1.5 billion when the entire internet is watching? The money starts running, and the entire chain analytics industry starts chasing. Within a day, the stolen funds are splitting across dozens of fresh wallets, then hundreds. each split smaller, each hop deeper, a breadcrumb trail designed to exhaust attention itself. On February 22nd, day 2, an independent investigator named Zach XBT finds the first crack. The thieves make one mistake. They mix Bybit's stolen funds with the loot from a different heist, the Femex exchange robbery, one day earlier. Same addresses, overlapping wallets, on-chain, in public, forever. It's the closest thing to a signed confession the blockchain will ever give. The FBI needs 5 days to say what the chain already whispers. February 26, 2025, the Bureau formally attributes the theft to North Korea, a state unit it calls Trader, part of the Lazarus Group. 6 days later, the forensics firms Bybit hired, Signia and Vericanes, confirmed the mechanism, the poison-safe interface, the weaponized update, the lie under the glass. But attribution isn't recovery. And North Korea has spent a decade building the world's most sophisticated digital laundry. Stage 1, peel and split, thousands of wallets, each holding a sliver. Stage 2, the mixers, crypto's industrial shredders, churning coins until their origin dissolves. Stage 3, cross-chain bridges, teleporting value between blockchains the way travelers switch passports. Stage 4, THORChain, a protocol that swaps Ethereum for Bitcoin with no operator to call, no office to raid, no phone to freeze. The stolen billions flowed through it while the industry argued about whether anyone could have stopped it. Final stage, cash out. Over-the-counter dealers, mostly in Asia, converting digits to silence. 45 days. That's the cycle's full turn from vault to vanished. The final accounting, 18 months later, is brutal. 90.2% of the money untraceable, gone dark. 8.4 million recovered, 30.5 million frozen. Roughly 5 cents on the dollar, scattered across 28 exchanges. Bybit even crowdsourced the hunt. 5,000 tips, a $2.3 million payout to bounty hunters, and an open offer of up to $140 million for whoever recovers the rest. Nobody has. So the thieves won. Not exactly. Because something unprecedented was coming. And this time the response wouldn't be an arrest warrant for hackers who never leave Pyongyang. It would be a lawsuit against Pyongyang itself. Step back and ask the uncomfortable question. Why crypto? Why North Korea? Under sanctions, the Hermit Kingdom can't sell what it used to sell, not easily, not openly. Its exports are embargoed, its banking is cut off, its cold hard cash is running out. But a nation that can't wire money can still write code. And code, it turns out, is the perfect export. Weightless, untraceable at scale, and delivered through a wire the world can't sanction shut. The numbers are no longer a spy story. They're a national income statement. 2022, 22% of all stolen crypto on Earth flows to Pyongyang's crews. 2023, 37%. 2024, 39%. 2025, the Bybit year, 64%, a record $2.02 billion from a single sanctioned state. 2026, first half, 76%. Read that again. 3/4 of every dollar stolen on the entire internet now moves toward one of the poorest countries on it. All time, the tally passes $6.5 billion. And this isn't smash and grab anymore, it's a human pipeline. There's the classic crew, the hackers who robbed banks in Bangladesh, paralyzed hospitals in WannaCry, and emptied Sony's servers over a movie. There's the office army, remote IT workers with stolen American identities, embedded inside real Western companies, 140 of them in one network alone, filing timesheets, collecting real salaries wired to the regime. In April 2026, on-chain sleuth Zach XBT exposed their internal payment server, 390 accounts, a portal called luckyguys.site, and a default password of 123456. There's the new model, fake recruiters offering dream jobs, fake investors conducting fake due diligence. Months of video calls built to harvest one employee's credentials. And in 2026, the mask came off entirely. The Drift Protocol heist, $285 million, investigators say, was preceded by months of in-person meetings between the thieves and Drift's own people. They attended conferences. They deposited $1 million of their own money to look real. They wine, they dine, they steal. Where does it all go? Bloomberg's estimate, Kim Jong-un banked as much as $22 billion in foreign revenue in 4 years, roughly quadruple the previous 4 bore. Much of it feeding the weapons program. Missiles bought with stolen Ethereum. Nukes funded by fake timesheets. This is not cybercrime. This is a business model. A bankrupt state discovering that the world's newest money could be stolen faster than the world could learn to guard it. Which brings us to 2020s, and to the part nobody predicted. June 18th, a filing lands at the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C., under seal, in secret. The plaintiff, Bybit, the victim of the century's biggest theft. The defendant, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The nation itself, its spy bureau, the Reconnaissance General Bureau, and the Lazarus Group by name. Not the hackers, the country. A crypto exchange suing a sovereign state in an American courtroom under RICO, the statute built to dismantle the mafia. The next day, a judge grants an emergency freezing order. By July, it's renewed. July 30th, Judge Bates goes further. A preliminary injunction ruling Bybit has shown a likelihood of success on the merits against a nuclear-armed state that simply ignores American courts. On August 6, 2026, the suit is unsealed, and the world reads what Bybit is demanding. $1.5 billion compensatory plus punitive damages trebled. Will North Korea ever pay a dime? Almost certainly not. But the suit does something subtler than money. It maps the entire laundering network into a public court record. Every wallet, every bridge, every OTC desk that touched the money. The same trick Zach XBT pulled on the thieves, the chain never forgets, now executed with subpoena power. And the pressure isn't only civil. March 2026, the Treasury sanctions the IT worker network, 6 names, 2 companies, 21 crypto addresses frozen out of the dollar system. April, 2 Americans are sentenced, 9 years, then nearly 8, for running the laptop farms that let Pyongyang's fake workers punch in from across the ocean. The screws tighten on every layer except the one that matters. The men at the top, in Pyongyang, who will never see an American courtroom. So the machine adapts instead of dying. April 1st, 2026, Drift Protocol, $285 million, the handshake heist. April 18th, kelped out $292 million more. Same laundering rails, same playbook, new year. North Korea's hackers are, by some measures, working harder than ever. Even as the steals get smaller, the attempts never stop. And Bybit, the vault that started it all? They rebuilt the signing room so the machine now reads the raw transaction underneath the glass, not the pretty interface above it. In 2026, they say that one change has already intercepted over $700 million in would-be thefts. The lesson of Bybit, it turns out, was never about one exchange. It was about trust and what happens when the screen itself becomes the weapon. So, where does the 2-minute war stand 18 months on? The customers got their money. Bybit survived its bank run and is suing a nation. The FBI put a name on the thief. The Treasury put names on the helpers. Forensics mapped every hop of the escape. And still, 90% of $1.5 billion evaporated into mixers and bridges and dealers, and it is not coming back. The largest theft in history may end as the largest unsolved theft in history, solved in every detail except the one that matters, getting the money back. But here's what should keep you up at night. It wasn't genius cryptography that beat $1 billion vault. It was a lie on a screen and careful people believing what they saw. Every vault on Earth is guarded by a screen now. Your bank, your exchange, your wallet. And somewhere right now in a building in Pyongyang, someone is being paid, room and board and a title, to design the next lie. The Bybit heist wasn't the end of anything. It was a proof of concept. The next update you trust might be the one they're waiting for. This has been Black Box Money.